Okay, now what we've moved into from there to LO5, it's explain how to judge whether evidence is sufficient, authentic and current. Sometimes that can be difficult. Sufficient, it's easy. You can see whether there's sufficient there to meet the actual assessment criteria. Authentic, if you're working with a number of learners, it can get a little bit out of hand. But when you're working with just a few learners, usually you know that the work is authentic and it's their work. And this is why I mentioned to you before, just make sure you paraphrase the resources that you use when you actually write your piece in there, so that it makes it authentic and yours. But current can be difficult because somebody can have written some work for a qualification 2 or 3 years ago and use that because it's relevant to the qualification. Now, I argue that time doesn't matter. If you've achieved something previously and you're consistently working within that environment, then time shouldn't really matter. But again, you need to make sure the work is current and up to date. 5.2 is explain how to ensure that the assessment decisions are made against specific criteria and valid and reliable and fair. Now, against the specific criteria is easy. As I mentioned to you last time, as I receive your work now, I will put your name in one of these, yeah?
Yeah.
In fact, what I'll do, I will do that now, and I can put it in your file afterwards. Right, it's this is I'm utilising now a prepared document for an awarding body. Yeah. What I've done from an awarding body, I've said I've modified it so that it's ours, and it's an extremely good document because I'm just going to explain that to you now. So we get rid of that and we put page number. So when I do your assessment, I'll be looking at the tasks you've completed that cover LO1, yeah? 1.1, 1.2 and 1.3, where you explain the function of assessment, defined the key concepts, explain the responsibility of the assessor, and identify the regulation and requirements relevant to the issue. I will then literally, in your workbook, I'll write the page number in here, I'll put an A in there if it's achieved, and then I will write here my assessment, yeah?
Yeah, okay.
And that shows then that the assessment is against those specific criteria, yeah?
Okay.
There can be no equivocation there. The assessment is given directly against the assessment criteria. So that's the only thing that's used in the assessment. What happens is sometimes teachers who do the assessment as well will pick out examples that are not specifically against the criteria, and sometimes you have to watch for that to make sure that's not occurred. Yeah. So again, that the PowerPoint that covers these areas you can expand in your workbook from the information in the PowerPoint. And that it's the same thing in all those boxes. All I do when I do my assessment, I'll get rid of that, and then I'll write my assessment in here. I may just say, in this case now I've made it easy. See workbook workbook T1 or T3 or whatever it is, page 3 or page 2 or whatever. Yeah. So that will be so somebody looking at the work, which will be directly underneath this. Yeah. And also this will be then there for reference for you as you work through the qualification, yeah?
Okay.
We're going to put some assessment guidance on here, yeah? the same as this unit is to access candidate assessors. That's you. Knowledge and understanding of the principles and practice that underpin assessment. The learning outcomes of this unit will be assessed against using methods appropriate to the assessment of knowledge and understanding. These must include an observation of performance, an examination of work products, questioning. Direct evidence of this kind may be supplemented where necessary with professional discussion, reflective account or witness testimony, and the evidence must come from assessor candidates' performance in an actual work environment. So there must be evidence of a candidate monitoring a minimum of 2 candidates or 2 learners for an actual qualification that's being taught and delivered. So that means you use documentation that you already have and use, yeah? And then you can refer to that, because a lot of this will then cover Unit 3. The Unit 3, this is about the knowledge and understanding. Unit 3 is all about the practical assessment, so that you've done the assessment with a couple of candidates. Now, the only thing I stipulate on here, so that we don't have a data protection issue, is that you remove the names of the learner from the document. Yeah.
Okay.
But your name can be on, and the name of any other teachers and so forth, because that's not relevant to what we're looking at. But you can call them learner A and B or 1 and 2, whatever you like, really.
Okay.
So almost all the information you need for this unit is covered in the PowerPoint slides provided and the detailed notes from the comments during the presentations. Obviously, contact with your tutor should be have any questions at all. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, when you complete this, let's just make it a little bit bigger or smaller. Yeah. There we are. When this is complete, it will have all your assessments in here filled up with A's all down that column, page numbers in there where the evidence is, and this will be completely gone, and it'll just tell you, well done, you've completed this now, blah, 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 I like this or I like that, and there'll be a summative assessment in the box at the bottom there. It will then have my name and signature on here and the date when it was completed, yeah? We take that off, because now we're only looking at achieved work. So now I've got your name on that, I will put that to one side and save that for again. So yeah, we're looking at how you can judge whether the learner's evidence is sufficient, authentic and current, and suggest things you can do in Assessor to ensure and check each of these. I'm doing it now. Again, you've got your box. How you can ensure assessment decisions are made against specific criteria, that they're valid, reliable and fair.
Okay, this in PowerPoint 5.
There's some PowerPoint 5 on there that'll be in there. I'll come back to that in a second. Right. This one, quite interesting. You received an email from a learner within your organisation, yeah? And the email says, to whom, to whom this may concern, not whom. David Clark is one of the assessors who have been marking my Unit 3 assignment. It's gone back and forth now twice, and I don't agree with his comments, to be honest. I don't feel in a position to directly approach him about this, because he may take a dislike to me and therefore mark my future assignments. Whilst it is not a complaint directly, I would like somebody to take a look and mark this, because I believe he's being too harsh and asking for something I don't see is relevant. If you could kindly allocate a different assessor, I would look forward to hearing from you. Right, it's okay. A learner always has the right to appeal against an assessment decision if they disagree with it. Please reply to the email summarising the key steps in the appeal procedure should take and who will be involved in this process. You may need to consider confidentiality and non-discriminatory practice. As a guide, you could refer to Books and Kirk appeals procedure, but what I would say there is in fact, I'm going to take that out. You will have in your school, college, an appeals procedure, yeah?
I will have to look at that.
You will have one, I know that for certain, because every college has to have one. But what I would suggest is that you get hold of that and look at that one, and then you can answer this from the one that you actually use, yeah?
Okay.
And that will answer the email clearly. It's funny this should come up because I've been assessor since 1989, yeah?
Yeah.
I have never once had an appeal against, or been involved in an appeal against an assessor's decision. Most students, certainly up to undergraduate level, have not really the knowledge and understanding in a particular subject to be able to make that remark. Usually if they do, it fails at the first fence because what he considers not to be relevant is probably highly relevant. That's from my experience anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the last one. So, sorry, that's the next one. So, that's U1 T14. Should close that, right? Yes, I do, because I've changed that now. So, you've got PowerPoint 6 on assessment records and making assessments and giving decisions and giving feedback. And standardising assessment practice is for the next one. I'm going to go back to my little sheet. Six point one is evaluate the importance of quality assurance in the assessment process. And I think we covered some of that in one of the earlier PowerPoints as well, where the IQA is his job to monitor the assessment process and to make sure that the assessors are fully supported in what they do. And summarise a standardisation procedure in your own area of practice. Now, have you been involved in any standardisation meetings?
That was when I was doing my training, and
Right.
we done a bit of marking. So no, that was a moderation meeting. Not
Yeah.
standardization.
Moderation slightly different. What this does, what the IQA would normally do would be have a group of assessors that assess the same qualification, and he would give them a small piece of learners' work to make an assessment decision on. And they give them all, I usually hand them out independently, and they all do their assessment practice on that particular piece of work. And they will come to a decision whether they are accepting it or whether they would refer it. Once that's complete, we then have a round the table discussion, and each assessor will then justify why he's made that decision. And it's good because it's not a blame sort of thing. It looks at why people make decisions in certain ways and others make them in different ways. And it's good joint practice then to see how that occurs. Because the assessor's job, it can be a pretty lonely job really, because you are making decisions on your own most of the time. And it's only when you need support that you need to identify that yourself and say, I'm not sure here, I need to go to somebody else. And where would you go to? You'd go to the IQA.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to leave it at 5 and 6. Yeah. The next two pieces are in there. In the meantime, the work that you've sent me, I will fully mark it and I will fill this sheet out. Yeah.
Okay.
And it will be, when it comes back to you, this will be at the head of the document. Yeah.
Okay.
And it will have my assessment in it as well. And we'll work through, as we work through it, we'll complete that, yeah?
I think what I'll do is I have some learning outcome one, I still have 3 of the learning outcome 1s that I've not done, and then 1 of the learning outcome 2, then 3 and 4.
Yeah.
I will look at them and set a target for this weekend and see how I can cover them.
Yeah, yeah.
And then before Wednesday, I will look at 5 and 6.
Yeah, yeah. Whatever, yeah, you do work through it now. This is how we'll carry on from now on. If you need any assistance at all, just email me, yeah?
Okay.
Use that mail you've used tonight for now, because the other one's obviously something gone wrong with it again. I will have to try and sort that tomorrow. But in the meantime, just send them to that mail and I'll pick it up from there.
All right. Okay. And you don't think I'm putting too much information?
Slightly too much, but again, what's too much? If it's detailed enough, when it asks for, where are we on any one of those? It will ask for. Let's have a look. Where big tasks, and it says it on nearly them all. I'm just going to look at. I'll pick one out at random.
Okay.
It's the one we covered last week, Rick. It says quite plainly on each one of these, please explain the following risks you're likely to come across. Please remember, bullet points are not acceptable, yeah? Okay. So you need to fully write out, yeah?
Okay.
Again, learning requirements and specific needs. All the things you should consider are on there, and then you write your piece from that, yeah? Whoops, back. But all of those, always look at what it's asking you to do. Be very clear about what the scenario is and what it's asking you to do, so that you don't need to put too much in. You want to put things in that the scenario is telling you that you already know. Yeah, that was in the first sheet that you did. That you'd done that a couple of times. Doesn't matter. What you'd written was correct, so it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay then.
So, have you got any questions for me before we close tonight?
No, it's okay.
You're okay with that? But again, any problems, anything you do, have you got my phone number now?
I will check for it. I don't think I do still.
Right, well, what I'll do, I'll put that up for you now, and then so you can see it, yeah? You see that?
Yes, I can see that.
Just take a copy of that one.
Okay. Yes, I have it now.
Yeah. So if you can always text me. If you're stuck for something small, they can just answer in a quick minute or two. Just give me a text and I'll pick that up. Yeah.
Okay, then. Okay, I will do that. Thanks, Phil.
No problem.
All right. Thank you so much.
Take that off there. I can shut that down now, I think. Yes. Yes, I do. Battery's running low. Is it really? Right. So it is. Right, okay. I'm not plugged in. I didn't realise. Okay, but yeah, I'm going to close there tonight. And again, just contact me if you've got any issues and carry on as you're doing. It's fine. Yeah?
All right. Okay, then. All right. Thanks so much, Phil.
Superb. Speak to you soon. Bye now.
All right, see you.